Holy Hieromartyr Alkison was a bishop of Nicopolis, the now Preveza region in Nicopolis, from 491 to 516, and became a valiant opponent of the policy of accommodation with the Monophysites pursued by the Emperor Anastasius and his successors. He firmly resisted every attempt at persuading him to condone heresy and was imprisoned at Constantinople, where he died of the effects of ill treatment on September the 26th. It should be noted that Saint Alkison, hasn't been very much, hyped up by the new world old church. The church that has communed with the beast for the sheer reason that he was against heresy, and since heresy has percolated through the state church, it's not convenient, for them to pay tribute to such a great saint. So here we are today to pay homage to a great heresy fighter, a great missionary, a great saint and hieromartyr of our times, who has been neglected, on purpose. So let's, have a flashback to around 460. The three-aisled basilica, Alkison was built, the first of a series of 6 in Nicopolis, and Basilica B was the largest of the Nicopolis basilicas and probably served as the bishop's cathedral church. And an inscription informs us that Bishop Alkison sponsored some additions to the southern annex of Basilica B, possibly around 500. And it came to be known as the Basilica of Saint Alkison, the ruins of which still exist. Now, as for the Synod of Chalcedon, which didn't bring a definitive end to the theological disputes in the church as a whole, in 482, Roman Emperor Zeno promulgated the Henoticon, that is a declaration of union written by Patriarch Akakios of Constantinople. That was between 471 and 489. In a bid to bring compromise, through reconciliation to the Monophysites of Egypt and Syria, and the Duophysite of Asia Minor, Thrace and Illyricum, including Epirus. Pope Felix III of Rome vehemently opposed the declaration because it didn't explicitly endorse the principles of Chalcedon, and in his view, it kind of represented an attempt to supersede the primacy of Rome in theological affairs. So in 484, he convened a synod, excommunicated Patriarch Akakios, who in turn excommunicated him. Nevertheless, the Henoticon reconciled the Monophysites of Egypt and Syria to Constantinople and secured a certain measure of ecclesiastical peace in the East for about 30 years. The price, however, was a dispute with the papacy, opening a schism between Constantinople on the one hand and Rome on the other, and those eastern provinces rejecting it, lasting until 519. During this period, the bishops of Thessaloniki generally sided with the patriarchs of Constantinople, thereby breaking with the bishops of Rome and ceasing to act as their vicary in Illyricum. Meanwhile, the popes did what they could to maintain communion with and the obedience of certain groups of provincial bishops in the prefectura through bilateral relationships defending the rights of the metropolitans and their synods against interference from Thessaloniki Constantinople. And there had already been some tradition of such direct bilateral relations going back to around 450 with the bishops of Nicopolis and the Third See of Illyricum, sometimes playing a leading role. Emperor Anastasius maintained a compromised position during the first half of his reign, but in 509, under pressure from Monophysite groups in Constantinople and Antioch following the end of the war with Persia, Bishop Flavianus II of Antioch explicitly condemned the Synod of Chalcedon and the Thomas Leonis, paving the way for Emperor Anastasius to give fuller support to the Monophysites in the east, leading to a period of depositions of pro-Chalcedonian bishops in Constantinople itself, as well as throughout Asia Minor, Syria, and Palestine. Meanwhile, some 40 bishops in Illyricum supported the pro-Chalcedonians, maintaining constant correspondence during the ensuing years with bishops Symmachus and Midas in Rome, led by Bishop Alkison of Nicopolis, often defying the Bishop of Thessaloniki. The conflict spread to Thrace, where, there comes, Fodoratorum Vitalianus, also a supporter of the pro-Chalcedonian cause, revolted, followed by a large number of Bulgars and other Huns. And in 514, Vitalianus and his troops took control of the northern provinces of the diocese and besieged Constantinople, demanding, amongst other things, the recall of the Chalcedonian bishops expelled from their sees and the convening of a synod at Heraclea in Thrace to effect an ecclesiastical union with the participation of all the bishops, including the Bishop of Rome, Midas. Under pressure, Emperor Anastasius agreed, and Vitalianus lifted the siege. And in preparation for the synod in 515, Bishop Hormisdas made a pact with the 40 bishops in Illyricum, by which they withdrew from communion with Bishop Dorotheos of Thessaloniki. In the meantime, Bishop Alkison of Nicopolis traveled to Constantinople, where he signed the libellus of reconciliation brought by Roman legates, and he served as intermediary between the Roman See and the monks organizing the Chalcedonian supporters in Palestine. However, the emperor delayed implementation of the agreement to hold the synod. In reaction, Vitalianus again besieged Constantinople by land and sea, but the imperial forces defeated those of Vitalianus, who was forced to retreat. In retaliation, Anastasius removed him as Magister Militum per Thrace. At that point, in the spring 516, the emperor finally convened the synod at Heraclea in Thrace, gathering more than 200 high-level clergymen, but the actual synod never took place. Instead, Emperor Anastasius, with the active cooperation of Bishop Dorotheos of Thessaloniki, acted against the group of 40 Illyricum bishops opposing them, forcibly bringing the bishops of Nicopolis, Lycnidos, Serdica, Naissus, and Potalia back to Constantinople. There, Bishop Gainas of Naissus died in prison. Emperor Anastasius released 2 other bishops from Dacia, Mediterranean, for fear of losing the Illyricum army's support. But imperial agents also arrested Bishop Laurentius of Lycnidos and Bishop Alkison of Nicopolis, who died in prison in September 516. Pope Hormisdas received a letter in 517 from the Bishop of Nicopolis, calling Bishop Alkison our Holy Father Alkison. The efforts and sacrifice of Saint Alkison of Nicopolis and other bishops of Illyricum proved to be in vain when Emperor Justin and his nephew Justinian, that was between 527 and 565, also themselves Illyrians from the province of Jordania, Dacia diocese, came to power backed by those in favor of the Orthodox Diophysites pro-Chalcedonian policy, paving the way for reconciliation with Rome under Bishop Hormisdas.